Hi there, Jonny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk and welcome back to the PreSonus Symphonic Orchestra series, and this is episode number 9. And in today's episode we're going to be looking at the final part of this series. So we're going to look at the Single Articulations, which is the last part of this product, and then we're pretty much going to wrap this up. And I'll draw my conclusions and my recommendations and what I think you should do, having watched this series. Okay, so here we go. Single articulations. This is an interesting section here because there are some instruments here that that you don't actually get in this classic section here, the PSO classic regular orchestral sections. Not quite sure why. They've not included some instruments, like for example this one, they call it the clarinet bass, but that really should be the other way around. It should be bass clarinet. I think they've just tried to put it in, they've done it that way around so that it's adjacent to the clarinet articulations. But this selection of single articulations for different instruments, this is a really useful thing. If you know you're just going to be using a particular articulation and you don't want to have the hassle of key switches, then this is really cool. That said though, some of these articulations do have key switches associated with them as well. So you're getting both, 2 for the price of 1. So we're going to start by looking at the bass clarinet. Now, I personally love the sound of a bass clarinet. An album I made 10 years ago called Time to Turn. One of the songs on there featured a pair of bass clarinets. And it was just great fun having 2 bass clarinets in the studio, and it just sounded great. Now, they're not really a popular music instrument. You know, they're really a very much a post-romantic era instrument in the orchestra. So basically, from kind of like the late Romantic period into the 20th century period, the clarinet section was expanded to include the bass clarinet alongside bassoons and things like that, and they make a beautiful sound. But you would find them also on some Steely Dan songs as well. They get a rare outing. I do believe that the actor Wesley Snipes is also a bass clarinetist. So, you know, it's not an uncommon, unfamiliar instrument. I'm not going to talk in great detail about every instrument, but this one is just an instrument I really like. Okay, so there's a Steely Dan song called Babylon Sisters that features a pair of bass clarinets in, I think they're voiced in fifths, kind of down here. The thing with these, some of these articulations is that they are they're monophonic, so you can't play 2 notes together. Not very well. Which is a little bit of a shame. Particularly with this instrument, I would love to be able to maybe change that. See if there's an option to change the settings on this, so instead of it being monophonic, it's polyphonic, so that at least you can play. It says polyphonic here. I'm just looking at it over here. Activate polyphone mode or monophone. So I'm a little bit confused by this one, I have to admit, and I don't know what the issue with it is. But you can't play 2 notes at the same time, which, if you want to voice 2 bass clarinets, it's going to be a bit of an issue. You'd actually have to write 2 separate parts and record them as separately, which is a little bit of a shame. So I hope there is a way to change that. I'm sure somebody will find it. But just to note, guys at PreSonus software in Hamburg, you are fantastic. But there are a couple of things I would like to see changed and updated with this. So that's the bass clarinet. Sounds absolutely gorgeous down low. What you'll notice is it doesn't have any vibrato. And the modulation wheel doesn't give you vibrato. It gives you volume, so you can crescendo. But it doesn't give you vibrato, which is interesting. So this, when you get crescendos, you get flutter tongue. Flutter tongue is very good fun. We've done flutter tonguing a little bit with some of the different instruments. And now this you can voice in more than one note. And then you have this special one. I'm not really sure what this one does, but we'll find out. There are some key switches here. So you got little grace notes there. What's this one here? Grace note. Staccato. What else have we got? Grace notes. Well, these are just grace notes, really. So that's your bass clarinet with some of the special articulations you got there. Let's go for contrabassoon, another really low-pitched instrument. Kind of like the bassoon, but it's, well, much lower in pitch. It goes all the way down there. Again, no vibrato. Let's see what you get here. You do get flutter tonguing as well, but let's see what the special one does. Again, I think this is just grace notes for the most part. Yeah, these are all grace note articulations. Let's check out another couple of instruments that we don't really get. How about, yeah, let's do a little bit of piccolo trumpet. Piccolo trumpet is basically also known, I think, also known as the soprano trumpet, because it actually has a higher range than the regular trumpet, which means you can play really, really high notes without having to kind of, play a regular trumpet with extended register. Now this does come with vibrato automatically. You can get jazzy a little bit maybe. Doesn't go as low as a regular trumpet. Quite nice. That's the legato. What do you get? You also get staccato and you get the special one, which again is going to be some trills, some mordants. Mordants are good fun. Basically a mordant is the note itself and the note above if it's an upward mordant. So you go note above, then back to the note itself. In this case, it's a minor one, so it's a semitone interval. Could be useful. Let's see. This is a downward mordant in a major interval. Great fun. What else do we get? Let's have a look. So we've got some French horn sections. Again, if you just want to do legato for a section, again, you can. This one isn't. This one is monophonic, weirdly. For a section, I would have thought I'd be able to do harmony, but. Quite nice, quite pretty. Again, we got specials, which tend to be various glissandos and that kind of stuff. Let's have a look at that. So this one's going up in a whole octave. Could be very useful at the end of a piece, maybe. Muted glissando. Oh, nice. With the crescendo at the end, I like that. Let's see. Nice, like that. So that's French horns. What else do we have? Oh, piccolo. I like piccolo. So you got various crescendos here, and sustain, and let's have a look at this one, staccato rep. See what this is all about. Very, very nice. Useful. Then you got the specials. Now, because you're dealing with piccolo, which tends to play a lot of, particularly in military marching bands, tends to play this kind of stuff quite a lot. Now that, listen very carefully to that sample. You can really hear the key pad actually depressing down over the hole in the instrument to make the note. Don't hear it quite so much there, but you definitely hear it. You definitely hear it there. Beautifully performed, very, very, very nicely recorded. There's quite a lot of key switches here. Mostly because the piccolo tends to play lots of different things. Lots and lots of fun you can have with this. You've got all sorts of different runs. Yep, we can have hours and hours and hours of fun with that. Would be enormously useful for composing. This is a downward minor. Very nice. So that's the piccolo. It's going to be very useful for you. English horn. English horn is another very, very nice double reed instrument. Oh, listen to that vibrato. That's beautiful. Now, if you press the keys lightly on your controller keyboard, you get a very, very light vibrato. But if you push that bit heavier, you get a little bit more snarl and bite from the reed, and you get some more, you get a wider vibrato. Again, this is not polyphonic. That's absolutely a gorgeous sample there. It's very, very pretty indeed. And I'm sure you get some nice little specials as well for trills and stuff like that. You get, oh, this is all nice. Some nice grace notes. We've got minor grace notes there. Yeah, lots of different grace notes. And of course, trills. Again, you can really hear the keys engaging here. But you can also tell that some of these trills are easier to play on the instrument than others. Slight changes in fluidity of the performance between different ones. And that again is down to the slightly unwieldy nature of this very, very beautiful instrument, because the fingering is for some notes is really quite awkward in some cases. But there you go. It's a beautiful sound nonetheless. I love the English horn, also known as the cor anglais, more traditionally known as the cor anglais. But English horn is good enough. And we also have alto flutes. Now again, I have actually written for alto flutes for, again, for my album Time to Turn 10 years ago. I featured a mixed ensemble with rhythm section, and among that I had clarinets, bass clarinets, flutes, alto flutes, and French horns, trombones, and trumpets, and alto and tenor saxophone in that mixed ensemble piece. So I had alto flutes, and they just sound really gorgeous. Especially low down. Oh, we had a little CPU spike there. Again, not polyphonic. Lovely. The vibrato is very nice as well. Again, let's take a look at the. I mean, flutter tonguing we've looked at on different instruments before, so let's have a look at some of these specials. Very staccato. Nice. No key switches, it's just basically staccato notes. Very nice. Lovely sounding instrument. And I think pretty much that gives you a flavour. That gives you a flavour of these single articulations, which you can use if you're just like writing a section where you want a particular sound and you don't want to have to mess about with changing key switches or writing in a key switch change on the fly whilst you're recording, which can, that can stifle your performance. So if you want to particularly record a very specific articulation like flutter tonguing or grace notes on a French horn or a glissando or something like that, or trills in a piccolo, you can do that effortlessly just using the single articulations. So definitely well worth digging into. And that pretty much wraps up this episode 9. And we're going to move on a little bit now into my conclusion and my summary. If you want to purchase the PreSonus Symphonic Orchestra add-on, this is where you go. You go to shop.presonus.com, then you click the software tab, then you go to Studio One add-ons, and then Presence XT content. And here it is. And because I'm in the UK, it's going to show my the price in my currency, which is the pound. So if you're in the United States, it will come up in US dollars. If you're in Canada, it'll come up in Canadian dollars. Wherever you are, Swedish krona. If you're in Sweden, it'll come up in your local currency. And at the current exchange rate, which I think is pretty cool. And it also says here, price includes applicable taxes. So in my case, we have VAT, value added tax, here in the UK. I mean, that's the official name for it, value added tax. I call it vague additions to the total. Same thing. So wherever you are in the world, you might have something similar that you have to pay tax on purchasing a product. And so whatever currency it is, the price includes those taxes. So in the UK, it is £92.64, which in the United States would be round about $123, I think, at current exchange rate. And a few cents, maybe about 18. I'm not really sure. My maths is not brilliant, okay? So my conclusions after 9 episodes on this product. For the price you're paying here of $123, £92.64, you get something that I think is fantastic. It is extremely usable. You can use this for making your own music beds for podcasts, your own intro music for podcasts. You can use this for a music bed for a video of any kind. You can use this for a whole range of things. Plus, you can actually use it for orchestral composition if you want to. Or you can use these orchestral instruments in any other musical setting. You could use them in a house record. You could use them in, other EDM. You could use them in a jazz piece, as I demonstrated when we did the brass episode. The intro music for that episode featured a piece that I had written for some of the brass instruments that you get in this add-on, plus rhythm section, which is all played by me in my tiny little studio here in Edinburgh in Scotland. So you can use these as creatively as you want to. The quality of the samples is really, really good. You get a wide range of articulations. You get a wide range of key switches. And the trick really is learning how to change the key switches on the fly when you're recording in your parts for whatever piece of music it is that you're composing. It is extremely well worth the price. how does it compare to some of the other bigger, better known libraries like East West or Native Instruments or the Vienna Ensemble Pro? I think it does a pretty good job, I would say. I mean, these are samples of the London Symphonic Orchestra, so, you know, great musicians captured in a great studio with great microphones by great recording engineers, and the sounds are well EQ'd, they're well processed. It sounds great. It sounds nice. It's really useful. But yes, you know, if you're going to pay like $900,000 for a sample library like the Vienna Ensemble Pro, you're going to get probably much higher quality samples with a probably bigger library of articulations and all of that. But, you know, if you're after something that is going to get the job done well and get the job done fast, then I think if you're a Studio One user, you can't actually get this for any other DAW. But, you know, if you're a Studio One user, this is a bit of a no-brainer because it's cheap, it's good quality, and you can get your job done well to a professional standard, my opinion. Just so that you know, PreSonus is not paying me to make this series. They're not paying me to say these things about this particular add-on or any of their other products. They don't sponsor me or endorse me in any way, shape or form. I'm doing this because I love PreSonus as a company. They're a great company. I love their software. I love Studio One. I've been using it since 2014. And I love all of the other stuff that they have come up with to add value to using something like Studio One. And, you know, they look after their customers really, really well. That's my testimony. But as I say, they're not paying me to say these things. I'm saying these voluntarily, purely of my own volition, and I'm making this series, again, purely of my own volition, because I think this is something that is worth investing time into making a video series on, and because I think it's valuable. I think if you go get this, it will enhance your creativity greatly. So, my opinion, go get this and enjoy it and use it for whatever you want. Alright, that's my rant over. I hope you've enjoyed this series as watching it as much as I have enjoyed making it. I have had a lot of fun with this add-on. It's really, really cool. And I am going to continue using it for a lot of my my personal work, and also for some of my other clients, because my other clients would really quite like strings on some of their records, so this is going to help me. So until next time, take care folks, and bye for now.